Good evening everyone and welcome back to Mr. Bravo's workshop. I have only just completed doing the varnish on all the bits and pieces only a couple of hours ago. Most of them are dry now and we're up to the stage where we got to put floor on. I haven't released the tutorial yet. I've done before this, but I do have it, and the only reason I haven't released it is it actually does have a picture of the ship further along than where you are. And until you get up to that stage, I won't release it. Anyway, in my tutorial, I give 4 different ways of how to place a floor, and each one depending on your situation. In this situation here, I have very fine, delicate pieces, and as I stated in my tutorial, I've seen some disasters out there, and I've seen some success stories. And the last thing you want to do after you've just spent probably hundreds of hours doing your model and, you're getting up to the final stages and the money that you spend on the floor is ruining your floor trying to place it down. I mean, I've placed this on this one once before, and I do believe I did state that the best way to fit this one would be from this side first. Yes, I am still holding it. I've just washed my hands to remove all the oil, and we would kind of want to push it down and add it just like this. And once it's down over the certain markers that tell us where to go, we could fit it. Now, with my tutorial, I also stated the best way to fit these while still giving you some movement. Now, I gave you 4 different ways. I'm going to use one of those ways to fit this. Not my preferred way, but because of the delicacy of this piece and how many fine pieces there actually are. I mean, some of this is only just being held together. So I need to pick a really delicate way to fit this on, and to fit it on the first time without ripping it off. Because you know how delicate this is. If I was to rip this off, it is not going to come off in one piece. We're probably going to ruin it. I have to order another piece. That is the last thing you or I both want. So today we're going to put this thing on, and I'm going to show you just what I did in the tutorial. So in my tutorial, one of the 4 ways is to use some wood glue, and I have seen this watered down. I don't like it watered down. I actually think it kind of lessens it watered down. Also in the tutorial, I did something that we don't normally do, which is I actually pulled the floor back up to see exactly where it's stuck. And for little light stuff just like this is my preferred way for doing stuff that's so fragile. So what we're going to do, we get our margarine lid. It's still got some stuff that's dried in there from the other day. It's completely dried. And it dries very clear. It's one of the reasons we like to use it, so that even if we do spill it, because it's water-based, it will clean up. And if you can't clean up the section that you can't actually get to for whatever reason, you can actually hit that with a bit more than matte varnish, and it should take that little bit of sheen off. The sheen off is that sheen there that we're talking about. But you're only going to be using such fine amount. I mean, that's a big giant piece there. That little bit of sheen there. I mean, obviously we don't want that. So yeah, we're going to get in and put this together. So I'll explain what I'm going to do first. I'm going to set this section up here and probably down the center. But we do need to see exactly where we need to go. I do believe the structure does cover most of this anyway when it sits down. So we don't have to be too careful down here. We do have to be a little bit careful on the outside here because most of this stuff is now shown. I can even grab the piece and show you what I mean. So here is our structure piece. And again, I said to you a couple episodes ago that I would need to fit this probably before I actually add the floor, knowing how much pressure I need to actually fit the floor. We can't fit the floor until we put the actual flooring down. So the point of putting that on there was to see that, okay, you're right, we're doing it. We can zoom in there and see that it does actually cover some of it. Let's actually now fit the floor. I mean, that's almost on. It wants to snap on there. Let's fit the floor a little bit. I did just wash my hands, and I do need both hands to fit this. So, yeah. Let's try that. How will it fit afterwards? As a bit of an idea. Okay, so we know exactly what we need, and the floor is going to cover it. The floor is going to cover it in here, although there is a second structure, so even if you're messed up in here, you're not going to see it. What you are going to see, though, is all here. All this section here. And I do believe there's a small bit on the back. As a matter of fact, let's put the small bit on first, maybe? Is that a good idea or a bad idea? Because technically this tells me how far this floor goes back. No. Let's put this one on first, and then we'll marry the other one up on both sides. So there you see it with it kind of on. So what we need to do is, we do know it'll fit. So we'll take this one now off, and we will prepare this floor. So I use the same brush all the time putting the floors on. I use this brush, and it does have a tendency to go a little bit hard every now and then. As much as I clean it all the time, it still does go a little bit hard. So I just put it into thinners just to soften it just before I start any floor, and just to get it nicely relaxed again. I mean, there's no point ruining 10 brushes. So yeah, and this one does a nice job. It just unfortunately glues back together just like that. So now that is now, yeah, that's not bad now. I'll dry that off, and we can now reuse that to do glue. Okay. So one of the hardest jobs, especially on this fine stuff, is trying to get the backing off. I've lifted it, and the gloves are certainly helping because they're not really sticking overly too much to my gloves. At the same time, I don't want to peel all of this off either, because I need the other side to hang on to. So what I'm trying to do here is peel the bottom section, this section here off. I need a pair of tweezers. Okay, so a pair of tweezers. No, it looks like we have a piece stuck. So yeah, it's very, very fragile. That's all lifted off nicely there. And as I said to you, this stuff is so tiny here. Here we got it. Okay. Yeah. And the method I'm using is to put this really, really hard, fine stuff on. So you've seen it right there with me. So we now have half of it prepared. Some of it, yeah, didn't overly stick to the gloves. That's okay. That's exactly what we want. Now I'm going to peel this back just a little further. And because I'm going to squash that, because I don't want it sticking back down. So that is now being released, and I'll bring you back into the scene. So that is now being released with half the plastic still on, which is all of this and down here. Oh, we're running out of battery, are we? Hang on a second. So what we have, one side has got the backing paper stripped back only to halfway. And what I did is I folded it so it doesn't want to roll back. We could probably take off the excess, but I kind of need that to grab afterwards. So what we're going to do now is we need to recognize all the areas that actually need some glue on it. So these pieces are popping through, and we don't want glue anywhere near that, because we don't want the glue glistening on our painted varnish matte floor. So what we'll do is we will use the brush. We'll get in very close to the edges. This has glue on it anyway. This will stick to the varnish that's already on the floor. The glue just buys you a little bit of movement time for something that is so fragile and almost like string size around these things that we need to move. And down the center here, and this takes like 5 minutes to do. And then, like I said, we'll put this end on and then slowly work our way back. And once we're up to here, I'll grab the other piece, pull it back, and then we can kind of set him home nicely. Now, this stuff here, you don't need a lot of it. I have seen tutorials where people water it down. I don't believe you need it watered down. I've done it. I've shown you that you don't need it watered down. So, what we'll do, I'll get my light out the way here just a little bit. So we're going to get our glue. We're going to bang some in the middle. We don't need a lot because there's not a lot of floor, but you know. So, that's out the way, and it's easily accessible if we need it anymore. Our brush is quite dry. It won't even, where are we? Quite dry. It won't even leave a mark on there. So, what you want to do, get the glue, kind of thin it out a little bit. You want to load up the brush, but you don't want to overload it. So this is why we put it off. So again, we're going to work it on here. Now, all the spots that have glue have already been marked out. So kind of just want it just in here. And you can see where the timber floor goes. It kind of stops there. I'm kind of working around, there's a boat that goes on here. So I do want some glue in there, but not a lot. So we'll put some just that way. We're going to come around here. I'm going to dab a little more. I barely loaded up the brush. We're just going to work it around. I do know that this sticks out, so I don't have to be too particular there. The structure comes around there. Where we got 1, 2, 3, then this. Yep. Yeah. We can do in here as well. And as you can see, it doesn't take very long to do. Around the guns here, just take your time. There's no rush here. This actually buys you time, so there's absolutely no need to rush. You don't have to get all the way to the corners, but you do want it around there. So that'll finish around here. We'll put just a little bit, just to sort of say that it's in there. Let's go down the middle here a little bit. Alright, we'll come back to that in a minute. Now we've got the excess off the brush. We'll come around here, just around like that. A very fine little bit around here. Probably just in here too. We'll feather a little bit of this out. Yep, pretty happy with that. Now we go up the other end. Because that's still wet. That's going to be wet for about 10 minutes. And you're like, well, 10 minutes ain't long. Well, it is, especially when you're doing this. And now that I've tipped it up, can you still see that? Yep, you can still see that. So we'll just tip that around there. I actually see it finding a little easier to see. The structure goes around here, so it doesn't really matter about there. Whoop, we've got a little bit on the brush there. That's the beauty of it, is we can take it off around here. Let's get rid of some of this excess here, especially just there. Yep, that's it. Load up the brush a bit more. Just around a little bit. That's why I thinned it out on the thing, just so we can, you know, get a little bit. Probably got a little bit too much there. Wipe some of that off. So I'll use the pointy end of the brush now, just to drag that around a little bit. Drag that around that way. Try and drag some of that off. Yeah. Put some back. So, back around there. A little bit around here. I mean, it does have its own glue, so this is just to help it slide it around once we get it on. So that's all it's for. Just buying us just a little bit of time. Some of the first stuff's a little bit gone off, so we just touch him up a little bit. Because it's going off, but it hasn't gone off. So that's it, ready to go. So we'll move that out the way very quickly. We'll grab our piece. We're going to kind of set it up. Grab our plastic out of the way. And as we originally first put it on, we're going to kind of plonk it on there very lightly. Just like that. Just sort of fit it up over the bollards. We're going to kind of pull that paper now back a bit more because it's kind of on, but we've got to set it home now. I need a little bit of help here to get this off. I need to get the rest of that off. Very fragile bit of floor. I've got to be careful that that doesn't land up in the glue. Okay, so that's now gone. So we're going to work this one down. Let's pull him up just a fraction there. And just... yeah. There. Most of the fragile pieces are now down. Oops, I've stuck to my hands, so we're in a little bit of trouble. Here we go, we saved it. Now it's majority of it's down. Now we'll just move it around. You've got micro bit of movement here with this stuff. And at the same time, it's just sort of picking up the glue. Just around there. Nothing on my hands, no. So around all the edges. The floor's got a little bit of a bow there, I noticed. Let's push him down. And now let's sit the first one back home as well. And what that would do is, if it needed to be micro moved, which it does just there, we've got a little bit of movement in it with the glue. Now that is all the way home. Through these little pieces here where I can't get to. I do believe it does have to go back this way just a fraction. There we go, I think we got it. Sorry I wasn't watching the screen that whole time then. I was basically just watching this to get this down. Yep, pretty happy with all that. That is all home. I will use that edge of the tweezers just to roll the edges, just to make sure they're down. Yep, pretty good. Yep. Good all around there. Yep. And there. Pretty good all through the center there. Let's go back. Around all these. We were almost in trouble there when it sort of stuck to my hands, and because it was so fragile, I mean, these pieces here, they're super thin. They're almost like as thin as a hair. It could have been quite disastrous. I mean, this stuff, when it sticks down, it really sticks. So that glue is why we put it down. It just buys us a little bit of time. And that is quite nicely put down. And as fragile as it was, it's now down. Sorry about that, excuse me. So we're just working on all the edges there. And there we have pretty much our first piece down, home, glued. It's not coming back up, so yeah, let's try it out with the piece on top the correct way. that way. Yes, so I can now start to glue this one home, and as I've stated to you in the past, this one's not the best of fit. It kind of wants to fit, but it does go, but I've got to really force it. And I could not actually fit that until the floor is down. So that floor is now down, I can actually move on to the next piece. The next piece just here has to be removed. So here's our next piece, and it does go a particular way because it does have a hole in it. The hole is for something, I do not know yet, but it does go on this way, just like that. So we will prepare this again, much the same way as we just did. The other one is, yeah, I'm quite happy with the other one. The other one is down, nowhere lifted. Even in these fine little pieces down here, it is still quite good. I'll just make sure they're all the way home though. Yeah, this piece here was always going to be a rather difficult one to lay because of you know, how fragile it actually was. So yeah, just a couple of little pieces in here, making sure they're down. I can't really see this not unless I put the big lens under. Okay, looking under the big lens, it looks pretty good. Yeah, that's all down. Yeah, that's all down. Okay, no, it all worked out rather well. That's pretty good. Sorry about that delay there. Okay, so we're going to do the same with this one. So we're going to get our... remove this stuff because this stuff sticks everywhere. So we've got our brush. Let's load up our brush again nicely. Its brush is starting to go off, so we need to put some glue on it to... there we go. And again, we're going to work with the grain. We might have to, I might have to rinse that brush out. Start again. So I'll just rinse that one off. Make it a bit more pliable. That's the beauty of water-based. I'll just dry it off. We'll grab a bit more fresh stuff. There we go, just a drop. Brush is dry, let's spread that out, work it around a bit. Don't want to overload the brush, take some off. That's the other good thing about the margarine lid is you've got a way of taking it off. So we'll just load it up. And here we are, we'll just load it on. Oh, you're not even in view. Hang on. So we'll just load it up. You stay there, I'll stay in the big lens, and we'll just load it up. Now I don't know what that hole's for, but what I will do, I'll get a toothpick and clean it out. Or pop it, one of the two. So there it is, just in there. We'll just empty that out a little bit. That's it. I'll quickly take the base of this off, which I don't like taking off, but I'll do it anyway. Come on. There it is. Oh God, I just put it back on. Get rid of that. So we've got our floor. We're going to plonk it down. Where's our hole? About there is our hole. Now, normally you can't turn this when you put the sticker down, but I have just a very little bit of movement in there, and I can put that down perfectly. And that is now all the way home. No problem. I did give it a slight twist. I can still twist it just a little bit now. That's it. She's home. That piece is now done. We're kind of moving along here, making sure we've got no glue there. And again, the fit is going to be very, very nice after it's on. So there it is from behind, starting to really take some shape. Okay, so that piece is now on. And this piece, I started with this piece because I actually thought this was the hardest. If you can get this one on, you're going to get the rest on, no worries. I thought this one was the hardest because of how many fine pieces there was around here, around the guns and stuff like that. Okay, so we'll move on to the front, I suppose. Was just doing a dry fit. That was actually a little harder to fit than what I thought. It just didn't want to go down there for a second. So I've got to be a little bit wary of that when I plonk it on the next time. So if we plonk it on and work, we need to line it up. And if I can line it up over here, which is what was stopping me a minute ago, if we can get it on much like this, and then work our way backwards, I think we're going to find some pretty big success, just like that. And I think that's how we're going to place it. So that's your dry run, especially for a bigger piece. Now we know we've got to paint, got to be a little bit more careful up around the front here. So I think what we'll do is we'll work our way backwards. So the last bit is this fiddly little bit around here. We're not going to do too much around here because it does have glue on it, but we do have to prepare it. So we'll take this one off, put him aside for 1 minute. It's probably more than 1 minute, but anyway. And what we'll do, we'll get set up, get ready. Gonna need a lot more glue. There we go, fair bit of glue there now. The brush should still be nice because we just wet it. It's not bad. So what we'll do, I'm not going to use the big lens for that. I'm just going to lift it out the way. Okay, so we're going to just start by dragging most of this around, just like that. On this big stuff, that's how you do it. Leave it a little bit more wetter because this is a slightly bigger piece, so we don't have to get it as thin. The main reason for making it thin is so when you squash down the floor, you're not going to squeeze it at the sides. Just got to be careful of those little sections. Are we there? Around here. Moving very quickly around to the front. Let's catch the back up. Okay, come back this way just a little bit. Right. Be careful of some of the bits and pieces around here. I'm just going to use my little rag just to wipe that one off. I did slip. So that's all right. You're allowed to slip. Just put a little bit on here. Let's try and work that in around there a little bit. Yeah. Keep going around through here. Back this way. I do believe there is a piece of plastic that goes around here, but I've just checked and looked at the floor. This floor covers that, so we're pretty right. But we'll just put it lightly there, working our way up around these. You don't have to get too close to them. There's chain through here, so I've got to be a little careful. Come through that way. I'm just going to do the corner of the brush through some of these smaller areas. Just working backwards just through there. Remember, it does have glue on it, so you don't have to be too particular. This is the Bayou moving time. That's it. We'll just do a little bit more on the bottom down here, and we are good to go. There's too many little intricate pieces through the center there. We'll let the glue worry about that. Okay, so we are good to go. Let's move that out the way. I'm going to move that so I can put it where I was before. Hopefully I can get this off fairly quickly. Gotcha. Okay, so we got it. What we'll do, we're going to take the whole lot of this off in one hit. So there we go. Right, it is off. Okay, so we're going to do exactly what we said before, which is buckle it. Oh, don't drop it. Don't drop it. Down. Line her up. Hang on. I need that out the way. Yeah, that's pretty good there. There. This side's not bad. Get that one down. It is stuck to my finger at the other end over here. So once it's mostly down, I can now put him and take him home. So now that we can now go around, send him all the way home. That's it. We got every single little bollard. We've matched it. Just a little one there. Oh no, we got around it. Here we go. We just need the other one as well. Just a sneaky piece of glue there. So what we'll do, we'll just take him off. It's not bad, it's the only piece of glue there. Go around all the edges. Spend the next 5 minutes putting this on. It's probably going to be a slightly long video, but that's okay. What will be happening here? It's not quite going down properly there. What's going on here? Where are we? Around all the edges there. I do remember there's a couple of ladder holes here, and they're still there. That's good. We know we're right on track there now. Just working around those little bollards. Sorry, I know I'm out of the view. Hang on. Let me come back. Sorry about that. Just, these things are time sensitive a little bit. Yeah, they're in. Just needs a little work there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Where's the structure to go on there? We'll have a bit of a look. So there's the structure just sitting on that. It's looking rather good. So really, the only piece we've got left to do now is up the back here. So we'll just remove that, as nice as it is. Let's do the back. Bit more trickier this one on the dry fit. And we have more boat carriers to worry about on this side than this side. So I'm going to say we should probably turn it around and work from the other side first. So when we place it, we can place it down over these first, like that, and place it. And again, the glue will buy us a little bit of tiny, see that tiny bit of wiggle you get? That's what you're after. I mean, obviously the placement is quite crucial to place it right the first time, but that's it. So what I'm going to do a little bit different on this one is I lost a little bit of time on that one trying to get the plastic off. So I'm going to take the plastic off and very carefully place this upside down, ready to go. Okay, I've got my backing paper already off and is sitting upside down on the side over there. So we don't have to worry about that right now. So what we do need to do is we need to put our glue back on this piece and get it ready. So let's get our glue and that over here. Again, the only things we really need to worry about is where the boats are. We could probably skip those and just go around them completely. And we'll just work up the floor. There's probably a little too much glue there for me, but we spread that out. We can probably make that work. Let's take some off. Just drag it through there a little bit. Drag it through there, through there, through here, around that. It's a little heavy there. What I'll do, I'll get rid of some of it on here. Come back and take that off. Just dropped a little drop on there. That's it, get rid of the excess, that's the way. Come back here. Lots of boat holders here. Probably call it something different, but that's what I call it. Through there, now that is a mistake. Hang on, where's my rag? I did not want that to happen. So, clean that off. And there's a little one just there, and have the excess off there as well. Okay, that's now cleaned off. Work that around there, around the boat holder. Just a little bit, just to add some glue. I did just touch that corner just there. I'll get that in a second. It's probably a little heavy there. Let's try and remove it. And from there, okay, probably a little much there, but it's all right. It's got to squash out a little bit anyway. Let's remove our glue. I've got my sticker ready, and we're going to work it this side first. That's it. Over the second one, that's it. Laying it down on its own pressure. Slightly stuck to my finger. Now we just dab down. That's the way. Dab it all the way down. Dab, 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 dab. And we are home. That's it. Now that it's down, let's try and work some of those corners around a little bit. This is PVA, so it will dry absolutely clear. I mean, if you've got tons squirting out, you will see it, but you won't see the amount that we've got here. So that was a little tricky, little intricate piece. And again, we'll just get them down. I'll use that for the corners. And in there where I can't get with my hand. Backwards, around those pieces, making sure they're home. Around the back here. It's quite a nice look. And there we have it. We have our floor down and home. Okay, so what I'll do, so there it is with all the pieces added on. They're not glued down, of course. I'm going to wait for this to dry off before I do any more mucking around. Just a little bit, just so you can see. It's looking pretty good. The timber floor looks nice. That was a good success story. And that's the whole point of using the glue, is just buys you a little more time. And with the flooring, without the glue and without the varnish, it's just a little too sticky. And once it goes down, it doesn't want to give. So, and as I said, the middle floor we started with first was the hardest, and that is now down. Okay, that just about wraps it up for this episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you liked the end result. And I did say, I think, a little bit out of the box in some earlier videos. This is my take on the timber floors. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you later. Bye.